what's admirable, beyond admirable, what's amazing is a dedication of one's life to saving something in the environment. In the state of Florida, there is a Riverkeeper Alliance, and it is truly like an alliance of superheroes. These men and women all around the state of Florida have dedicated their lives to saving, protecting, and conserving the watershed that they're respected for. It's inspirational, and if there's anything to take away from St. Augustine, Jacksonville, and St. John's, is that there's still hope, and that the underlying theme for everyone in this community is that we have to save our water. When I decided to come up to Northeast Florida, there are so many great guides up here, and there was a long list of people to choose from. But I really wanted to fish with my buddy, Captain Scott Owens. Scott he guides from Georgia all the way down to Key West, and he's a Florida native. He grew up in Miami. He fished a ton in St. Augustine, but I knew he'd be a good voice, and he'd be willing to talk about what the water issues are, so that we can affect positive change.
Ooh, red just went out from under your feet. Give me long casts out front.
I just went over that spot right there.
Kind of watch at your feet, okay?
Okay.
It's low in here comparison to what?
This looks like it's deeper here.
Yeah, but I want to weasel through these shells.
You're not going to be able to get through.
Shell or sand?
Both.
You know, so as we entered the first pond we were going to fish in, and we were zigzagging through oyster shells. It was still really low. And we pushed some reds out, and we got to one area, and Benny had said, God, there's a ton of current coming through here. And it was kind of a convergence of two creeks, and he threw a topwater across the point and was working it back. And all of a sudden, just boom, explosion. We thought we had a big trout on. Nice work, Benny. Nice work. I'm gonna hop down, put the power pole down.
Oh, yeah. It's a snook.
Yeah, nice. Told you we'd get those in here. We think we have a big trout on, and as it's getting close, I hear Benny say, it's a snook. And all I can think about is he just drove 7 hours from where he catches snook every day, it comes up here in North Florida and catches a snook. So I think we'll start calling him the Snook Master.
He barely got it too, like he just came up and...
Oh, he sipped it.
Yeah. Woohoo! Hydro pencil. Yeah. Doing work.
You like that Yazori?
Yes, bud.
Nice. Nice work, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
Excellent work. Yeah, put him back in the net. It was great to finally come up here and fish with Scott. It was really awesome to get to do it in an area that I've always loved. St. Augustine's special. It's a special place with a lot of history and a lot of great backgrounds, and the estuary is just, unbelievably beautiful. All right.
Man, that's cool.
Snook,
yeah,
bro.
Man. Let's
go catch another one.
Let's do it. So, I moved here when I was 2 years old with my family from Miami to St. Augustine. And man, was it a different place as I grew up. I left St. Augustine in 1989. I remember that because it snowed here. And I couldn't believe it. I'm not even sure I'd ever seen snow at that point, maybe when I was a tiny child. But, I've always been fascinated with St. Augustine because of the amount of history that's here. And we're kind of running that over with a lot of development and stuff, and it's harder and harder to see. I love the fact that downtown doesn't have, gigantic sky rises and stuff. And they've done a really good job with that, but they've kind of blocked in a lot of it. And, we've got a fort here that is one of the coolest forts in the country. It's giant. It's made it through who knows how many hurricanes and floods and attacks and everything else. And, it's good to see some of that stuff preserved, but we need to also think about the amount of history that's here. And we need to remember that because, a lot of people, St. Augustine is the third fastest growing city in the United States of America. Third fastest, and it was the first at one point in time. And that's a lot of development, a lot of growth, and we got to remember the history that's here.
This segment is brought to you by Hells Bay Boat Works, the world's finest shallow water skiffs. Florida Sportsman Watermen is sponsored in part by these fine companies.
When I decided to come to St. Augustine, it took literally no time for people from all over the northeastern coast of the state of Florida to decide they were going to come, because they feel like it's important to voice what they know is right, and that's to save these watersheds.
All right, my name is Ben Williams. I'm one of the founding members of St. John's Riverkeeper. In fact, about 20 years ago, right up here at Whitney Lab, we had our first organizational meeting. If you fish, whether you're commercial fishing or whether you're recreational fishing, or whether you own a bait shop and you're selling to the fishermen, enlightened self-interest has to tell you that you need to go out there and protect that water. And there's a few gray hairs in here, and being on the water and fishing is a culture in Northeast Florida. And those things are worth protecting.
The common thread is overdevelopment, overflow of water, fertilizers, runoffs.
I'm an ecologist, and I've been working on Florida conservation issues all of my adult life. I started in the 1960s. Beth Stad called me up, said, "Hey, we got a problem over here in Flagler County." I live over near Tallahassee. "Can you come over and take a look?" And I did, and I was just appalled at what was happening over here. The Water Management District is trying to say that they were going to restore these marshes, which are just perfectly beautiful the way they are, and found out that there was something really bad going on ecologically. It just goes against everything that we were doing back 40 years ago in the state of Florida to preserve our wetlands, our fishing grounds, and our state.
Scotty, they're making us work.
They are.
Man, but
Seeing a lot of fish.
I don't know if I've ever been so happy to see a redfish.
No, even a little guy like that.
Little guy. Made me feel better about myself.
Yeah. He's gonna grow up, man. He's gonna grow up.
Let's do that about 10 more times.
Let's do it.
We were fishing in this little pond in what seemed like in the far back behind all these oyster bars, and we were fishing so hard that we let the water get out. The water was hot, the fish were not gonna bite. We really had very little left to do in this pond, and we had to get out. And the only way we could get out is if we got out of the boats, physically got out of the boats, and pulled them over the bars. And we did this because we had some really awesome lunch. Captain Chris Herrera was a sight for sore eyes. After being stuck in the pond and not being able to get out, and being super hot and dying for lunch, he had these amazing burritos from Captain's Barbecue and some inside information on a schooled redfish that may or may not be on these docks on the intercoastal.
Flatty.
Flounder.
There's our flounder, Benny.
Nice.
Yeah, man. You know, we're working with the baby slam today, but
Whatever.
yeah, man.
Those are the coolest fish.
They really are. They really are. There he is. Another flounder. Nice.
Flounder.
A little upgrade on the flounder. Nice, Benny.
Let's see if we can avoid the poo.
Yeah. Sorry about that, you know. So it was really cool to catch some flounder. I grew up catching them here. They're a very, very important target species in this area. And a lot of people flounder fish, and they make great table fare. They're fun to fight, and they're just a really cool fish if you know the anatomy of a flounder and how it's born, and its eyes are on each side, and then one eye migrates to the other. They're just a really cool fish.
Oh yeah, I got the frickin'.
You got the flatty hole, baby.
I got the flounder honey hole over here.
Oh, you the flounder pounder. Nice, back to back. Maybe we'll find that redfish here in a minute.
Join us for this week's On the Conservation Front as we dive deeper into critical water issues facing the state. Florida Sportsman has been leading the fight on the conservation front lines for over 50 years.
Biosolids is a nice term for treated human waste. Let's join St. John's Riverkeeper Lisa Reineman to discuss how biosolid runoff harms the St. John's River. Lisa, as St. John's Riverkeeper, you have a huge watershed to monitor, from here in Blue Cypress Lake all the way to the mouth of the river at Jacksonville. What's the overall health of this watershed right now?
Well, the good news is we've made progress and we've seen a reduction of some pollutants, especially with point sources or big pipes. The bad news is we're seeing new sources of pollution, and that's leading to toxic algae outbreaks in about a 100-mile section of the St. Johns River.
You mentioned new inputs, and we're talking about treated human waste, biosolids. Are they triggering cyanobacteria blooms right now, along with the other inputs?
Yes, we have inputs from fertilizers from urban areas, from agriculture, septic tanks, wastewater treatment facilities, industry, but the land disposal of sewage sludge is the newest source, and we're seeing an increase in phosphorus of more than 50% in some parts of the river, which is triggering these outbreaks.
Governor DeSantis just appointed a blue-green algae task force. Are you confident that this kind of effort will help you turn a corner for the St. Johns?
I believe it's a great first step to have scientists look at what's going on. And so we're meeting with the task force, and we encourage those out there to go to stjohnsriverkeeper.org to find out how they can be involved.
Lisa, millions of Florida residents and visitors love the St. Johns for fishing and other activities. How can they help you preserve this river?
Well, we can all be more river friendly and keep our own pollution out as well as conserve water. And then also, everyone that values the St. Johns, if they could reach out to their elected officials and ask them to stop pollution at its source.
This segment is brought to you by Gulp Saltwater. Outfishes all other bait. Florida Sportsman Watermen is sponsored in part by these fine companies.
So, we're fishing these docks like hard, pitching, these jigs and these scented shrimp up against the docks, and hitting piling after piling and moving over and fishing dock after dock because we knew the fish were going to be there. We knew they were going to be there. And I made a cast right at the end of one of the pilings on the far end of the dock, and as soon as the thing hit the water, I felt this thump, and I knew right then, finally, they had showed up, and we were hooked up to a really nice redfish. There he is. There we go.
Get him, man.
It's weird, it's not really, it's a red, but it ain't fighting, it's not fighting like one. Fighting like there he goes. Nice, Benny. It's nice to have this option during the middle of the day when the flats are so hot.
Yeah.
You get these drop-offs. Nice.
Little guy, but we'll take it.
Nice. Oh.
Whoa. Should have just dumped in there.
Yeah. Hang on. Let's head up to you.
Got him.
Nice.
Good job, man.
Nice, man.
I don't know if it's much of an upgrade, but it's a redfish.
He fought like it.
Yeah, he did. All right, let's let him go.
Yeah, I think he's good. See if we can't catch another one. There he goes. Thanks, man.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
In the state of Florida, our two big money makers are tourism and development. And so back under the last administration, there used to be a lot more insight as far as where growth was going, what our future looked like, what was allowed to be built where. And unfortunately, there have been a lot of rollbacks in that regard. And so there have been a lot of developers that are taking advantage of that and moving into these areas.
There he is.
Oh, yeah.
Right at the last piling. Nice. Nice work, Benny.
Get out of there. Got him.
Nice. Grab that net for you. Oh, nice fish, Benny. Good colors, too.
Oh, yeah.
Nice fish. Now that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
Nice.
We need to message our friend and tell him white gulp ticket.
Yeah. Yep. And I tell you, having a good net on the boat is really important, being able to keep a fish wet, especially if you're catching and releasing.
Let me tell you something. That net right there has been the star of the season.
Yep. You want to watch, because if you buy a net that the holes are too big in, when you net these fish, especially if you're going to release them,
get beaten up.
It does. It splits their fins and everything. And a lot of people don't realize that. They'll net a fish and think, okay, I'm doing justice, but they're splitting all the fins all up.
The ultimate test for that net, and why I think it's so good, is you put a bonefish in it, which I do all the time, and you let the bonefish go and there's no slime in the net whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I like this.
That's a big deal because the bones and permit go in the net, and we remove their slime, and they have net marks all over them, and they don't survive.
Yeah, and when you bust that slime off, the sharks can smell them that much
God,
easier.
they can smell them, they can track them down, they can't move through the water as fast.
Yeah.
So this is a good net. One of my key jobs is to find that historic perspective. Someone in the area with a big voice and a big reputation, so to speak, who can talk about what it was, what the good old days really were.
Well, I've been guiding here. I've been living and fishing here for 29 years now. I've been guiding for about somewhere around 18 years. And I have watched the fishery just go downhill big time. It used to be nothing to go Flagler Beach in the middle of the day, in the middle of the summer, and pull in trout, you know, 5, 6 of them that were between 5, 6, 7 pounds. Now you go out and you're lucky if you can get 1 or 2 in the season that are 5 pounds. I mean, I've just watched it go right down a tube.
The other big problem that I see in this area, in this hammock, is there's no sewer. And since we are on top of Coquina, all these septic fields are just leaching all into the intercoastal and making this eventually going to make it a dead river.
What do I got here? Look at there, a black sea bass, Benny.
Nice. Another species.
He's a little lost.
See that thing? Check out that fish. Look at those white tips. Beautiful.
When they get big green knots on their heads. It's kind of cool, almost glow.
These things are really good to eat.
Yep, when they get bigger. It's a staple fish for the offshore fishermen. He fought well, though.
Plenty of food.
He fought well.
Cool, man. Keep doing your thing, Scotty.
This segment is brought to you by Angle. Live original.
There's a lot of action on the flats and early in the morning this morning.
Yeah.
You know, but
it was so nice this morning. Cool. The air was cool and the water was cool. And that changed quick.
Yeah, it got hot. Really, we saw the fish just kind of settle down.
Yeah.
They stopped moving,
Yeah.
stopped feeding altogether. So
I think it was like a boiling pot.
Yeah. I mean, the water temperature up there was like 85, 86 degrees and just getting hotter with this outgoing tide.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, get him, Benny. Nice. Nice work, man. I mean, you called it right off that pylon.
Come on, Sheila.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
There's a nice fish. Yeah, let me grab that net. Let him eat that one. All right, I gotta catch one real quick before we go, I guess.
It's your turn to upgrade.
Yeah, oof.
So clean water, what does that mean to me? It means the world to me, and I'll tell you why. For selfish reasons, it's my livelihood. But for the broader scheme of things, it's just what Florida depends on their economy. It's fishing, it's boating. And when we access to the beach, I mean, we need clean water to make a living here. Other than that, it's just for the youth growing up to be able to take advantage of the same things I had as a kid. The amazing fishing we used to have, which we don't have great fishing now. A lot of reasons for it. It's just the degradation of our water.
The Smoke Aquatic Preserve was pristine, and we had abundant fisheries. We have every single type of juvenile fish, and you talk about snook. I mean, one cast net, my 10-year-old can catch like 15 baby snook in one cast, and we have shrimp, and we have everything you could imagine.
It's a very important endeavor. We have to take our disturbed environments, our degraded environments, and put them back into shape again ecologically.
It's sad, you know, it really is, because I guess some of the happiest times in my life have been on the water. No, I don't even have to guess. The happiest times in my life have been on the water, and some of the saddest now are on the water, because I go out and I see these places that I have all these memories, and they're just destroyed. At some point, we got to find a balance of sustainability and accountability to do stuff about the devastation that we've done.
Whenever you're in an estuary like this and you have new seawater coming in and filling up the estuary, going over the oyster bars, into the grass, you have happy fish. And this is what we were waiting for all day long.
Nice, good work, Benny. Knew they were out there.
I stuck that one.
Yep, nice job, man. I'll power pull us down.
Okay. Grab that net.
Yeah. A little better, we upgraded.
It wouldn't take much.
No, but we did upgrade.
I'm glad we upgraded. You know what, Scotty? That was a solid thump. That's what we were talking about waiting for.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, buddy. Give me 5.
Yeah, nice work, man.
Good job, man. St. Augustine was awesome. It's a beach town, the oldest city with a fort and tons of history, houses and buildings hundreds of years old, and a community that revolves and relies on the water every single day. It was so refreshing to see that everyone we talked to was happy to see us, happy to talk about the water, and looking for the next step in saving the place that they love. All right, that's an upgrade, buddy.
Yeah, good job, man.
Thanks for the push.
Yep.
I'm gonna let him go terrorize some more mullet.